Hello, Mrs. Davis again, and I'm going to talk a little bit about place value and explain it. I get my base 10 blocks out. Okay, so every number has a value, and where that number is, where it's placed, which is why it's called place value, tells you how much that number is worth. So what we've been talking about is hundreds, tens, and ones, and it is always in this order. The hundreds will always be in this spot, the tens will always be in this spot, and the ones will always be in this spot. So if I had a number, let's say 352, so I have 3, 5, and a 2. By themselves, if you don't even notice these other, the 3 just looks like 3, right? But because it's in the hundreds place, it gives it a value of 300. So each number, each single digit is worth 100. Because they're 3, that 3 is really this many, 300. Okay? And the 5, because it's in the 10 spot, is really worth 50. It's not 5, it's worth 50. So there's 5 tens. That's what we know. So if we recap a little bit, the 3 in the 100 spot tells us that there's 3 hundreds, so that is 300. The 5 in the 10 spot tells us that it's 5 tens, which is 50. And if we move to the ones, if there's 2 in the 1 spot, that just tells us that that number is exactly what it looks like and that it is 2. So if I was going to show you the 10 spot, let's see, let's count them out. So we have, this is 10, this is worth 10. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we know that the 3 is worth 3 of these hundreds, and we know that this 5 is worth 5 tens. This is really what that number is telling you. Okay. So if we wrote this number out just how we would normally see it and not spaced out like that, it would look like 352. Okay. So when we look at that number, we can break it down into its value. So if we did that, let me move my, if we took that 3, which we know it's in the 100 spot, if we went down and we said, oh, that's actually 300s. It's not just 3, it's 300s. So the number is 300. And if we took the 5 down, and because we know it's in the 10 spot, we know it's not just 5, it's 5 tens, which is 50. And we took the 2, and because it's in the 1 spot, we know that the 2 is just 2. It's 2 ones, which is 2. Okay. And I do. So if you looked at that number, 352, and you wanted to see what it would look like with the value shown, I got a lot of Ziploc bags here. I'm going to have to figure out how to hold this up. I have 2 single ones, right? That's the value of this number, is 2 of these. So if I was going to show you this number for what it really, the value of it, it's, see if I can hold it up. It's a lot. 352. That is how many this number is. This is what that number really looks like. Because we have to remember that the numbers are all representing something. So like in our small group work today, it was tennis balls. And with Mrs. Dickerson's video, it was beans. So just remember that each, or in this case, it's these squares, these base 10 blocks. Each one of those numbers is representing that amount. It's just we need to know the value of it, which is how and why we use place value. So as another example, really quickly, If I decided to take the 3 away, my number would change, right? I would have 52 instead of 352 because I would only have numbers in the 10s in the 1 spot. So that 5 value, unless I've changed it or added another 10 or taken away 10, it stays 50. And that 2 stays a 0, or that 2 stays a 0. That 2 stays as a 2 because I still have 2. But what if I wanted to move it? What if I wanted to move all my numbers over? I could. 0 matters. So the number 0 means nothing except for where it is in your number. That's also really important. If I added a 0 to the end, does that change the value of the 5 and the 2? If you said yes, you're right, because all of a sudden, that 5 is no longer in the 10 spot because we've added a 0 to the end. So we've added a whole lot more numbers. So that 5 is now in the 100 spot. So now we have 500s, which means we have 500. And the 2 moved from the 1 spot to the 10 spot. So now we have 2 10s, which is 20. And because we put the 0 in the 1 spot, we have 0 1s. But that's okay because we can have 0 1s and it's still 0. And so our number is 520. Hope that helps.